everybody, it's Ghoul, Pony, and today we are discussing new Scaremester issue 3. This issue focuses on Draculaura and the mounting stress she's been dealing with. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We open up the issue with Drac remembering something her father told her before his passing. The importance of her legacy as his daughter has always been made clear to her, and as of late she's starting to feel the pressure ramping up. So much so that she is late for her student bloody council meeting. When she arrives, Claude, as vice president, has already begun to session. He has some suspicions about the amount of students and faculty going missing. He finds it especially fishy that Bloodgood disappeared without notice. He mentions that there were always two things that she prided herself on: helping students flourish under her leadership and her perfect student bloody council meeting attendance. This disappearance has left both of those hanging. Claude believes that all of this chaos may be the work of normies, but Manny disagrees. He is adamant that they always blame normies, and that he thinks there's more going on here. It's interesting to me that throughout this series, Manny has been the one consistently disagreeing with and speaking up about the anti-normie sentiments. This is such a 180 from how he was in the majority of the webisodes and movies, so it's kind of funny. But towards the end of Monster High, Manny did get a redemption arc of sorts, and we've established within the previous videos that this is not the same continuity as most of the other media, so I wouldn't say it's an issue, it's just a specific choice that I've noticed. Lothar, who I mentioned last video, actually gets more attention in this conversation too, as he is apparently part of the Student Bloody Council. The council begins debating what they should do about their suspicions, and unable to agree, they ask Draculaura what she thinks. Unfortunately, she's too distracted to give an answer, and the meeting is adjourned. Abby is at this meeting, but she doesn't say anything during this conversation, which seems to confirm to me that in this continuity, she does not live with Bloodgood. Meanwhile, the rest of the Ghoul squad is in mad science class, and Draculaura isn't the only one who's distracted. Cleo can't focus on her and Ghoulia's project because she's too busy contemplating her and Deuce's breakup. Draculaura flies in, late to class, just in time for Cleo's experiment to blow up in her face. During lunch, Frankie is concerned about her father. She tells Claudine that he's been distant and uninterested in his usual projects, similarly to Draculaura. The two ghouls see the vampire sitting alone at the table, and decide to swing in to check on their ghoul friend. She spills about the responsibilities that have been piled onto her, and mentions that she doesn't think that Torlai is very happy with her. Claudine confesses that it's actually her that the werecat is unhappy with, and we finally get some more insight into the two's relationship and subsequent breakup. Claudine tells the ghouls that during the summer, she and Torlai were really close, even to the point of seeing a real future together. The thought of this intimidated Claudine, though, as it reminded her of her mother, who, in her words, gave up her dreams for a love that didn't last. So, she broke up with Torlai. It's clear that she still has feelings for her, but she's too scared to actually try and restart things. Drac and Claudine have a nice moment in which they sympathize with each other's pain, and the ghoul group seems to be back together and close as ever. Well, except for Cleo, who Frankie excitedly insists is next. Draculaura mentions to the ghouls that the disappearances seem strange, and Frankie agrees, but Claudine insists that there's enough drama without them adding theories onto it. In our last scene of the issue, we see that Deuce is still on Cleo's mind as she is trying to win him back. It's mentioned that she's using her own irresistible charm, literally, but the extent of what exactly the charm is doing is unclear to me. It may just be a truth amulet of sorts, as there is emphasis on Cleo asking Deuce to tell her the truth, but I can't tell if the amulet is influencing Deuce during the rest of the conversation or not. He seems a bit confused at first. I wish I could tell what exactly is happening better, because if Cleo is essentially using a love spell on him, I find that very manipulative and a little bit sleazy. The two end up reconciling as Cleo says she wants to repair their relationship, and after she promises Deuce that there won't be any more cold shoulders or stonewalling, the two kiss. This is the first kiss of the series, funnily enough, which I guess is fitting since it's the original Monster High couple. Ghoulia spots this, and that's where the issue ends. Overall, I really enjoyed this issue. It's nice seeing the ghouls get back together and talk things out, even if the full group isn't quite there yet. I think we're at the point in the series where things are starting to fall into place. I'm glad that someone mentioned that Bloodgood's sudden disappearance is super out of character for her, even if I'd expected Abby to be the one to do so. Maybe they'll investigate that a bit more in upcoming issues and we'll get more info on where she and the others are being kept and what exactly the motive is. As always, the art is gorgeous. I know a lot of people were especially loving this dress for Drac when the previews were posted. This is also the first time in the comic that Poe from Once Bitten Twice Dead is mentioned by name. I don't honestly think he will be very important to the series. It's also nice to see Claude getting some more spotlight with the Halloween issue and now this. He was almost completely ignored in Once Bitten Twice Dead, so I'm glad that we're seeing him here. I'm hoping that he and Drac will end up reconciling, as I found their breakup in the novel very forced, but this isn't the original continuity, so I won't really be upset if it doesn't happen. And now for our obligatory details I've noticed and or liked section. The first one is from the B cover. It is extremely hard to tell because it is so blurry, but I'm like 99% sure that Draculaura is watching a lyric video of the Fright song on her laptop here. Specifically this part. I find this very amusing. They probably thought that no one would notice or be able to tell, but I can tell. I can always tell. I always notice. I tried seeing if I can find the exact video that this is a screenshot of, but sadly I was not able to find it. She also has her G3 backpack and the Hot Topic hairbrush here. I thought that the makeup palette was also a piece of Hot Topic merch, but I'm not finding any matches. It looks very familiar though, so if it is a real palette and any of you know which one, feel free to let me know in the comments. Another small detail that I noticed is that so far in the series, Abby looks pissed in every single panel she's in, and I find that hilarious. Abby definitely has severe resting witch face. And that's about it for the actual issue, but I also wanted to talk about the Fang mail section. My plan is to highlight any featured art and cool fans as the issues are released, and it just so happens that this is the first issue that features some. We have this lovely redraw of a panel from the Free Comic Book Day issue, drawn by artist Alleyway. And then there is another piece of featured Fang mail, which is me. You may have already seen this on my community tab, but yeah, I'm featured in this issue. Apparently I was the first person to submit any Fang mail, which is great because that was actually my goal. I took this photo at a convention that I was going to when I was going to be dressed as Bloodgood, and I was very determined to get a picture with the comic. Unfortunately, I could not find a physical copy of the comic on my road trip down to where I was going, so I had to take a picture with the digital copy. But yeah, they featured my letter, my cosplay, and my fan art, which is like an insane amount of page space to let me take up. It's of course mainly just me rambling about my faves, but I was so excited to see that I was chosen because I never got the chance to submit anything to the magazines back in the day, and being a very obsessed fan of the series for so long and actually getting to very slightly be part of an official thing for it is just crazy. I keep thinking about how if anyone is a collector either now or in the future who wants to get all the comic issues, they're gonna have my work in them. And that's wild. Anyway, that's about all that I have to say about this issue. Thank you so much for listening and continuing to join me as we discuss this series. You all have been so sweet and supportive, and I really appreciate your comments. with all of that being said, as always, I hope that you all have a fantastic day. Man, I really need to come up with a better outro.